Hello everyone, my name is Tianren Yang. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Hong Kong. My work focuses on urban planning and design, which is all about making our cities better places to live. Today, we are diving into a topic that affects almost everyone, commuting in cities. We'll explore why it's such a big deal and how changes in our daily travels can actually improve our quality of life. My lecture will cover a few key areas. I will first introduce some basic ideas behind commuting. Then, we will look at 3 real-world examples of how we are working to understand and improve urban commutes. Finally, I will share some practical tips and suggestions. Let's kick things off by getting our heads around some basic concepts about commuting. So, what exactly is commuting? It's the time and effort it takes to get from your home to your workplace. Let's look at some numbers. In places like the US and Great Britain, commuting usually takes around half an hour each way. In Beijing, over a quarter of the population spend over 2 hours daily on their commute. That adds up to at least 10 hours a week dedicated solely to travel. Commuting takes time. But why should we care? It turns out that commuting affects our quality of life in numerous ways. Long commutes can impact our physical health by reducing time for exercise and increasing exposure to air pollution. They also affect our mental health by elevating stress levels and contributing to fatigue. Socially, they limit our time with family and friends, and environmentally, commuting means more traffic congestion and higher carbon emissions. As we can see, commuting isn't just about getting from place A to B. It's a crucial factor in our overall well-being. How can we tackle these long commutes? One key concept is something we call jobs-housing balance. Although it may sound like urban planning jargons, the principle is quite straightforward. Imagine a seesaw. On one end, there are jobs. On the other, there are houses. When the seesaw is level, it indicates a healthy mix of jobs and housing within the same area. This balance means that people can find employment close to their homes or affordable housing near their workplaces. When we have good job-housing balance, people generally have shorter commutes. But making this happen isn't as easy as it sounds. First, we often don't have enough data to fully understand how commuting patterns are changing. Second, even when we have data, predicting the impact of decisions like building new office parks is difficult. Lastly, with changes like the increase in remote work, it's hard to foresee future commuting needs. These factors greatly complicate our efforts to enhance urban environments. Let's explore some real-life examples to see how our research team tackles these complex commuting issues that impact daily life. Although these case studies are from specific cities, the strategies we employ and the insights we gain are applicable globally. As we delve into these examples, please consider how these methods could be adapted to improve commuting and urban living in your own cities. Our first case study focuses on the innovative use of big data to track commuting patterns, shifting away from our traditional labor-intensive surveys. Here is the process. In urban areas, almost everyone has a smartphone. To adapt to this data, we combine it with other contextual information like building types and nearby business. For instance, if mobile phone data shows that a cluster of devices spends nights in a high-end residential area and days in a tech park, often staying late, it suggests that this group probably works in the IT sector. Once we gather all this information, we combine it to get a big picture view of the city's commuting patterns. We can see how many people live and work in different areas, and more importantly, how they move between these places. This gives us insights into the city's jobs-housing balance. We can use this data to to dig deeper into how different jobs affect commute times. These insights are invaluable for urban planners and policymakers. We can make targeted decisions to address the specific needs of different working groups. Ultimately, this will help us create a more balanced and livable urban environment. Let's move on to our second case study. Here, we'll explore how we use computational models to understand the impact of city planning decisions. We will focus on Shanghai, where we will have simulated various scenarios of job and housing distributions to see how they affect people's commutes. It's like a what-if game with real-world implications for urban planning. Shanghai faces a growing commuting problem. Between 2010 and 2015, the average commute increased from 8.2 kilometers to 9 kilometers. This might seem small, but is significant for a city of millions. The issue is particularly acute for those traveling to the city center for work. What's the root cause? An imbalance between job and housing growth. In the city center, business space grew by 3.6% annually, while housing only grew by 0.9%. More jobs, but not enough nearby homes. While local authorities recognize this problem, they are uncertain about how to address it effectively. Why is this issue so complicated? Think of cities like living organisms, full of interconnected parts. Urban planners look at cities in layers, like land use, transport, economy, and population. Changing one layer affects everything else. For example, changing how land is used can affect local activities. If more people move to an area, it increases the need for transportation, which can cause traffic jams, and thus affecting where people decide to live or work. That's why we use computer models. They help us to see how all these parts work together and what happens when we change something. To manage this complexity, we created a spatial equilibrium model. It uses basic supply and demand rules to connect different factors like where people live and work, economic activities, and how easy it is to get around. Think of this model as a mini digital city. The best part, we can use it to run what-if scenarios. For example, we might ask, what if we build more offices here and more houses there? How would that change how people commute? We set up different scenarios to test our ideas. These are like what-if questions. First, what if we match the increase in homes with the growth of office spaces over 5 years? Second, what if we spread out jobs from the city center, balancing job and housing growth? Third, what if we do both, spread out jobs and focus housing growth in the city center? We keep the total growth the same in all scenarios, but change where we place new buildings. This lets us compare directly and see how different setups affect commuting times and distances. So, what have we learned from our model? It turns out that trying to balance where people work and live can really help shorten their commutes. The most effective strategies was moving jobs away from city center. But here is a twist. We thought combining the strategies 1 and 2 would be the best approach, but it didn't turn out that way. When we looked closer, we realized that focusing too much on city center can actually make things worse in other areas. It's a bit like squeezing a balloon. When you push down on one spot, it just bulges out in another. These findings give us some really important lessons. Here's what we are telling the planners and city officials in Shanghai. Encourage businesses to establish in suburbs rather than congested city centers. Be cautious with large housing projects downtown to avoid increasing traffic. And always look for holistic solutions that improve commuting for everyone, not just relocating problems. Our final project is a collaboration with local planning institute, exploring the impact of telework on urban life. We will highlight how our findings from Shenzhen as our broader analysis of all major Chinese cities. The shift to telework has been notable globally since 2020. Internationally, cities like San Francisco and London see employees working remotely for about 1.5 days per week, with hopes to increase to 2 days. In major Chinese cities, the expected increase is from 1 to 1.3 days per week, with Shenzhen employees having even higher expectations. Using 2019 as a baseline, we've observed significant changes in Shenzhen. Frequent teleworkers increased by 15% during the pandemic peak, and currently, frequent teleworkers make up about 6% of local employed population, mostly concentrated in the city center. Our analysis reveals industry-specific trends in telework. The IT sector shows high interest and support for remote work, likely increasing its prevalence. In contrast, the finance sector, despite similar support, there has less interest among employees in working remotely. These differences in telework preferences across sectors are shaping the future of work and urban living. Cities worldwide are taking actions in response to the growing trend of remote work. As we have already explored themes like urban commuting, jobs housing balance, and telework trends, it's clear that our cities are at crossroads. Let's now translate our insights into actionable strategies. First and foremost, we must acknowledge commuting as a crucial component of urban life that directly impacts well-being. It should be as important as air quality or housing in quality of life assessments. By doing so, we guide governments to prioritize what truly enhances daily life. The UN Habitat's Quality of Life Initiative is an excellent starting point. It shows us how commuting is linked to multiple dimensions of urban life, from housing to mobility. Big data have revolutionized our understanding of urban commuting. Using anonymized mobile phone data, like in our Shenzhen studies, we can create a detailed picture of urban commuting patterns. This isn't merely data collection. It's about using these insights to implement specific improvements that positively impact urban life. Now, let's consider the role of models and simulation in urban planning. As our cities grow more complex, we do need more advanced tools to understand and predict how our decisions will impact urban life. Recall our Shanghai case study. These models allow us to simulate different scenarios, helping us understanding how changes in jobs housing allocation affect commuting patterns. Finally, the rise of telework marks a significant shift in our societal structure. As the lines between home and office blur, telework offers opportunities to improve urban quality of life by reducing traffic, decreasing pollution, and allowing for more personal time control. To wrap up, our goal is clear. We want to create cities where everyone can get to work easily, without enduring those long, stressful commutes. But achieving this goal requires a multifaceted approach. We need local governments to recognize the crucial role of commuting in determining quality of life. We need them to harness the power of big data and leverage advanced modeling techniques. And we need them to look ahead, anticipating the future trends and uncertainties. By doing all this, we can create cities that are not just more efficient, but more livable as well. Thank you all for your attention. The future of our cities is in our hands. Let's work together to create smarter, more livable cities that embrace and enhance quality of life of all.